So when it comes to estimation, we need to choose suitable values, okay, to represent each of these numbers, for example. So with this one here, 6.2, because the highest digit is a unit, we're going to round to the nearest unit, okay, that would be sensible. So 6.2, well, because the decimals are 2 here, that will round to 6, okay, so that will be a sensible value to estimate 6.2. When it comes to 18.7, okay, because the highest digit is in the tens column, we'll perhaps round this to the nearest 10, okay, so 18.7 will round to 20, okay, because that's closer to 20 than it is to 10. 4.37, well, the highest digit is a unit, so we round this to the nearest unit. So 4.37, because we've got a 3 there, we round it down again, okay, it's closer to 4 than it is to 5. Here we've got 77.7, so the highest the digit here is 10, so that will round to the nearest 10, and we'll round it up to 80. It's closer to 80 than it is to 70. So that can help us then when it comes to estimating. And usually in the question, you'll notice they'll capitalize every letter here because they really want you to get the idea that you've got to estimate this, okay? You don't have to work this out exactly. So when it comes to estimation, what you can do, instead of normally we write equals, we could do a squiggle equals, okay, like that. That's showing that we're actually estimating it. We're not working it out exactly. Now 6.2, we rounded to 6, didn't we? And 18.7, we said that was close to 20. So when it comes to estimating, we can then work this calculation out, okay? And it's going to give us a pretty much an answer which is pretty much close to this. And of course 6 times 20 is quite straightforward because you could do 6 times 2, which is 6 times 2, which is 12, and add the 0 on. Okay, so you get 120. So underneath here then, we need to write equals again. Now, because you've done the squiggly equals there once, you don't need to do it again. You can if you want, or you can just go straight for equals. Okay, so number 2, in this case we've got to add, but remember 4.37 here will round to 4, yeah? Okay, that would be a sensible value as we discussed earlier to represent this, okay? Because we have to estimate it. We can't work it out exactly, okay? If we work it out exactly, we will not get the marks. So that will be 4, and then this here will be 77.7 is 80 as we saw earlier. So then we just got to add them, so quite straightforward then, that will equal to 84. When it comes to the third one, well, we saw earlier 18.7 is 20 and 77.7 is 80. So we've got to multiply 20 by 80. Okay, so 20 times 80, that's easy to do. Because all you've got to do, of course, is do 2 times 8. So 2 times 8 is 16, and then add the 2 zeros on. It's a quick way of doing that, yeah? So an estimated answer for this is 1,600. Okay, so number 4 then. This case here, we've got like a fraction, so that means we've got to divide, okay? So 77.7 we had was 80. Divide then by 18.7, which we wrote as 20. Okay, so now it's possible to do this, isn't it? Whereas this is like almost feels impossible to divide that. They're not asking for that, remember. They're asking for us to estimate it. So we choose sensible values, and then you can divide that. And that's easy, isn't it? 80 divided by 20 is just 4, isn't it? Yeah, because 20 goes into 80 4 times. Now they could even ask us to do this. Okay, 6.2 squared. Now remember, that means 6.2 times 6.2. That's what that means, isn't it? When we're squaring, yeah, timesing by itself. But remember, it's an estimate. So I'm going to go for 6, and then that's going to be 6, and 6 times 6 comes out to be 36. So that's what you do there, okay? You don't work it out exactly when they ask us to estimate, and 6 times 6 there is what it becomes. So we could even have that one there, which is cubing. Of course, you know, when we cube, you are timesing by itself and by itself again, yeah? So you've got the 3 of them. Okay, now that would take us a long time to do. if we were to work it out exactly, because it's an estimate, we can choose the number 4, because it rounds down to 4, this rounds down to 4, and that runs down to 4. So we can work that out instead, and that's much easier, okay? So 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times then 4, well, you get 64 when you work that out. So finally then, the last one we're going to look at is when we've got a combination of multiplying and dividing, okay? So again, the key to this now is choosing those values that we round these two sensible values. So we decided that was 80, yeah? 6.2 is 6, and then divide by, of course we're not going to leave that as 18.7, we're going to round it to 20, okay? So then you can work these out. I mean, you might want to multiply the top there first, that would probably be sensible. So 80 times 6, well 8 times 6 is 48, 8 times 6 is 48, add the 0 is 480, divide by 20, okay? So you've got to do that. How many 20s are in 480? What you could do here is scale it down. You could divide top and bottom by 10, okay? Because if you divide the top by 10, you get 48. If you divide the bottom by 10, 20 divided by 10 is 2, okay? That's the same effect as cancelling the zeros. That's exactly what we've done, haven't we? If we cancel the 0 on the top, 0 on the bottom, we're left with this. And 48 divided by 2 comes to be 24. So it's much easier if they ask you to estimate, because you're choosing sensible values and you're not having to work this out then exactly.